Hey babes, I'm Cynthia.
And I'm Beverly. Grab your favorite drink. Let's sip and chat.
Welcome to Tipsy and Truthful, the podcast.
Period.
Hey, babes. Welcome to Tipsy and Truthful. This is a podcast where two best friends sit and chat about life, relationships, parenthood, and everything in between. I am one of the hosts. I'm Beverly.
And I am Cynthia.
And yeah, we're like really in the groove of this, like no video podcasting,
Mm-hmm.
period.
Yeah.
I feel like we lost some people who used to watch us, though.
I've gotten a lot of direct DMs saying, we miss seeing you guys.
Oh.
And I was like, you'll see us soon sometime.
We'll be back. We
We'll
promise.
we do promise. We definitely will be back. We say that in every episode and like, we're serious. We will be back. We're just like, trying to get into a groove in life. And I think it's going pretty well. This week, I'm very proud of myself. So,
Period. Well, why don't we start with the highs of the week and
Sure.
opportunities?
highs of the week. So, I think my high of the week is keeping myself accountable when it came to complaining.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
So I went to church on Sunday, and on Sunday the pastor had mentioned about our complaining, and I was like, "Whoa, I do complain a lot, and I don't even realize it. I don't realize how much I was complaining until I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So every time I was like, thank you, Lord, thank you for a great, beautiful day. Like keeping myself positive has really helped this week go like so different, and I was like, wow. So
Are you afraid? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
Are you afraid of becoming like toxic positivity? Have you heard of the toxic positivity
I don't care.
thing?
Because it's one of two lanes to me. It's either you're overly negative and like pessimistic, or you're positive. And what's wrong with being even overly positive?
But I still think that there is such thing as toxic positivity, though.
I don't think it's toxic for me right now.
I don't think that what you're doing is toxic. It sounds like you are the way that you're saying it, but I know you in real life. Like we made a pact that we can still vent to each other.
To each other, but not
right?
complain about life to everybody else.
Right, because I think the main thing is to focus on the positives.
Of course.
We can still acknowledge when there's things that like, are frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the toxic positivity.
I get what you're saying.
When you're like,
oh no, there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm still very much aware when things go wrong, but I could address them differently. Like they don't weigh on me.
Period.
This week, honestly, I was like,
you
wow.
look lighter.
I feel lighter. My sister told me that yesterday too.
Yeah.
We were talking. She's like, man, I could hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, when you look at life in a different angle, and when you're doing all that work that we've been talking about, literally like work. Wow. I'm just very proud of me.
Me too. I'm proud of you too, baby.
Thanks. So, my opportunity of the week, honestly.
Wow. That's, babe, you went from last week not finding anything positive to say to this week not finding anything negative to say.
Yeah.
That shows you the power of your mindset.
Honestly, it's
Right?
huge. Wow. And I've been sleeping better. Things been rolling off my back. What's the saying? I don't know. I just let it roll up. I don't know. You know what's that saying? Like when you just let things roll off, like they don't, no te hacen nada.
You know, the thing that came to mind is yo me baño con aceite y me seco con mantequilla.
O sea que todo te rebala.
Vale.
No, honestly, yeah. It's been a good week. And at work, I think it's rubbed off. Because I was like, is that complaining? Nope, it's a fact. Everybody's catching on. I was like, and I told everybody at work, if you hear me complaining, call me out. They're like, all right. I'm still going to complain. But they haven't complained as much.
It rubs off on
Yeah.
people. Period. Look at you, ray of sunshine.
Yeah, for real though. So yeah, how was you? How was your week?
Good. My high of the week. My high of the week is getting my blood work to find out like the gender of the baby.
We had to push it back 1 week.
I know. Because I think I read what I wanted to read versus what was actually on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It said it takes 3 to 5 days for them. No, 2 to 3 days. I don't know, for them to receive the test. And what I read was
it takes 2 to 3 days for them to process and give you
the results. And I literally check every day. And on the
drink some water.
Potato chip from like 10 minutes ago. Every time I go on, it's like, I know it's hard to wait, but please give it more time. I'm like, oh, I hate you guys. That's exciting. My
I think it's a girl, by the way. You heard it here first.
I think so too. I hope so.
I'm
too.
starting to feel my. You know how I am with
Yes.
my tingles.
Your intuition.
Yeah. If I'm wrong, listen.
Doesn't matter.
Strong
we
feminine.
want a healthy baby.
Yeah, healthy
Either
baby,
way.
but you know,
Mhm.
a girl wouldn't
But a
hurt.
girl would be fun.
Yeah, I'm like, but a girl wouldn't hurt.
We
have a lot of boys.
All boys in the
Yeah.
recent years. We went from girls only.
There's only 3 girls.
Yeah, Aliyah, Liana, and Nevi, but they're all older. Oh, and Luz, that's 4 girls.
Yes,
And then all of them were boys. After
true.
that. Mhm.
Literally every single one
Yeah.
has a boy.
Yeah,
So yeah, we need a girl. We're due for one.
it's time. My opportunity. I think productivity is my opportunity.
Oh.
I've been really like, I know fatigue is part of like first trimester, and I've been having trouble sleeping. It's not even Jayce. Like the last 2 nights, Jayce has been sleeping. It's me. I can't
Mhm.
blame it on Jayce now. Yeah.
I think
And-
you just need to find a good nighttime routine for you to put you in that zone so that you can rest.
Definitely. I focus so much on the kids' nighttime.
That you forget
routine
about you.
that I'm just like,
And you are a
whatever's
zombie.
left over will be for me.
Yeah.
I need to. We tell people here to prioritize your well being, and right now that's my opportunity.
Okay. So we'll check in next week.
We'll check it.
See how it goes.
So we missed Autism Awareness Month pretty much because that's when we took our hiatus, our break. We took a 2-week break.
There was a lot going on.
Yeah, we took a 2-week break because that's when Jessica was gone. And then when we came back, we had decided, like during that break, we had decided that we're gonna take a pause from the video.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to talk about autism
Mm-hmm.
and Autism Awareness Month, but we missed it. So this is our autism episode, I guess. Yeah, and we're doing something a little different
Mm-hmm.
since we really both have experience with autism
On
right?
different sides.
On different sides,
But at the same size. In the same.
at the same, yeah.
It's so weird.
It's not weird at all. I was thinking about how you were placed in that role for more than just you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what you learned has helped me and Jay so much,
Mm-hmm.
and it will help any other family members in the future that may have a child with autism.
Yeah.
That even though yes, you're good at your job and you're great with the kids, the knowledge that you're bringing home, that you even trained your husband with your ABA knowledge, like it's priceless.
Yeah.
Of obviously my experience is more, direct mom,
Mm-hmm.
child, parent of a child on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess we just wanted to bring up, or Cynthia has some questions for me that I don't even know.
So
what they
we
are.
wanted to actually Beverly's idea was to like make it an interview kind of
Mhm.
situation. I think that I want you guys to understand that a lot of I think platforms don't speak on how autism not only affects the child, but how that family reacts
Mhm.
or like has to handle the stress that comes with a diagnosis of autism. And I don't think any other podcast, like not any, I don't want to say that, but I'm just saying that in the mainstream, in a lot of podcasts, we don't focus on these things. And I know that there's some people that may be struggling by themselves, that feel like they don't have any support, that don't know what to do or where to go. Because one thing is to, I think, listen to the suggestions that a school has, but to have a village that understands and supports you also at home is so necessary and important. That, and I know that a lot of people don't have that because a lot of people don't understand autism.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. That's the truth. And there goes Jayce. He agrees. He definitely agrees with his aunt. So I want, I'm gonna ask Beverly a couple questions, and I just want her to like be vulnerable and honest, because this has been a hard diagnosis on your mental health, on everyone.
Right.
It's not just you, and it's not just Jayce. It's everyone that surrounds you guys.
Right.
But it's also been a great blessing because we learned so much,
Yes.
So,
yes.
anyways, babe,
You
I'm gonna be
ready?
the interviewee.
Okay.
And you're gonna be the interviewee.
Perfect.
So I think my first question is going to be like, what did you notice
Mhm.
that prompted you to want to get him tested?
I was in utter denial. I'm gonna be real.
Mm-hmm.
He had a speech. So when Jayce was little, I would say up until maybe 7 months, I would say he was his development was like average.
Yep. On track.
Right. He was the eye contact was great. He was smiling. He was crawling. He was all the things that
Eating.
Aaliyah and Liana and Cairo had done at the same time, right? Eating, right? The eating, all of it. The sleep schedule,
everything.
Looking back now, starting at like 7-8 months,
which is early, guys.
Yeah,
this is extremely early.
The first thing that happened was he stopped responding to his name.
I remember that.
And I would be like, oh, he's just like that. It's his personality, is what I would say. He's just like his dad. Tan seco. That was my like thing. Then the eye contact. And then as he became what, like 10 months, 11 months, he turned a year and his language was not developing at all. The first person to actually point it out, which is insane, it wasn't even anybody close to us. I think all of us were just like, oh, that's just Jayce. Like, it was one of John's aunt who lives in Dominican Republic. She was here for a visit for like a week. And what she said is, oh, you guys need to check that child's hearing. I think he can't hear us, because there's no way that, like, you talk to a 1-year-old and he doesn't even turn his face when you say his name or when you make a loud noise. He would be so in his own little world that something would fall, that would, like a crash, and sometimes he would react to it, sometimes he would completely ignore it. And I'm like, no, he's just like that. He ignores it sometimes. That's what I would say. But that prompted me to be like, okay, just in case, because I'm that type of mom. I'm like, it doesn't hurt. It's gonna be a nothing. But we checked his hearing. I talked to his pediatrician, and then that's when we started like early intervention and went down that long road.
And I remember those like that year, to be honest. And I remember me telling you there was a specific time. I don't remember exactly what the conversation was, but I remember that you kind of didn't even want to get him tested because you were just so scared. And I was like, babe, wouldn't it be worse to find out later on and that you didn't get him the help that he needed because you were trying to protect your feelings? Because I'm not gonna, I haven't been there on that side, but I know that it's hard.
Oh, definitely.
And scary, not knowing what the expectations are. Like, what do I do now? You know what I'm saying? Especially when you don't understand it.
Right.
Because that's the scary part. You're really scared of something that you don't understand. But I remember telling you, like, you need to.
Babe, he from the 7-8 month mark until the day that I was sat down and they told me, yes, your child has level 3 autism.
And that was gonna be my next question. When did he get diagnosed?
It was in July of 2019, so he was 2 years and like 4 or 5 months.
Which is so early, guys. Anybody that's in this field knows that this is such an early diagnosis. Usually kids don't get diagnosed until like they're 4 or 5.
Well, I was annoying.
Yeah.
We're trying to get, it was very hard. Like, guys, I don't know if you have a question on how the process was, but
no, I don't, but you can get into that now that we're talking about that diagnosis.
It was so hard, babe. It started with early intervention. As soon as they mentioned the word autism, first of all, my body was like clenched up, and I was like, no, my child's not gonna go through life with a whole diagnosis on top of him. Like, that's just not gonna happen. He's fine. But I still looked into it, and they told me how long the process was, and I was like, crap, I'm gonna have to like start looking now just in case. Pediatrician had to give a recommendation for somebody. No, first the early intervention had to give a recommendation for the pediatrician. Then it's like they have this weird little.
They make it so difficult.
They make it so hard. And then you get on a waiting list for a test.
Neurological test.
Babe, I was on waiting list for multiple hospitals, and I was calling weekly. I had alarms on my phone. It took, I want to say, close to an entire year, 10 months maybe, to get from the first call where I got on the list to being in the first like consultation appointment. It was so challenging. It was like, okay, we had to do sleep studies. Like, they rolled out, I like that they rolled out a lot of other things before they give us this diagnosis. They rolled out hearing. We had to do a hearing test. They ruled out epilepsy by doing like a sleep study. And all of it was scary. Every test we did got me so anxious. And now looking back from where I am today, that entire year was a blur. I couldn't tell you what my Aliyah and Liana were doing in school. I couldn't tell you how they were doing. I couldn't tell you anything because I was so stressed on this diagnosis and all of the. Jayce was getting early intervention twice a week here, and all the phone calls every week, and all the tests. And taking time off. I was stressed because I was working at that point in a office, having to ask for time off and worried I was gonna get fired. At that point, I really like could not afford to lose my job. Like it was a lot, and me being stressed out, I think made him worse. Honestly,
We've talked about this in other episodes. Neurodivergent or not, children feed off our energies, and that's why it's so important to make sure that we are handling our stress because they react to that. They unfortunately they feed off of them. They're like, my mom is stressed. There's something wrong. I need to be worried too.
yeah.
I need to be anxious too. That's not fair.
Yeah, that's when he stopped. He pretty much stopped eating everything. He went from being like a little dump
Picky.
truck, like he would eat anything,
Oh yes,
to eating like
Two
very
things.
limited things. I'm talking about pizza,
and French fries.
French fries.
That was it.
And back then it was like yogurt, pizza, French fries. And
That
then
was it.
He stopped eating yogurt and he replaced it with PB&J's. And that was his entire diet. Okay, sorry. That was a long answer
No,
for that.
hey, that's a good answer because I think that people don't realize how it's not like going to a doctor and be like, "Yep, he has autism." It's
No.
a long process.
Grueling process.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
it's horrible. So now that we're on that topic, now he's diagnosed. What were your next steps after you got that diagnosis? Like, what programs or supports did you use to like help him grow and develop? Because now you have this diagnosis, you know that he's gonna learn different, that he's going to develop different.
Oh,
What
wow.
did you do?
Can I just say that when we sat down, John and I in that office, we went with Jayce. It was in Boston Medical Center. I was expecting to go in and for them to be like, okay, so he definitely has a speech delay, but there's no autism. You guys are fine. When she said your son has level like autism, gave us all the paperwork. When I tell you I was bawling, like I was trying to hold, I held it together for a good 38 seconds, and then I was like,
Then it hit you.
I was like, no, it hit me immediately, but I was trying not to cry in front of this doctor.
Okay.
And then I couldn't, and it like exploded, and like I'm like getting emotional now. So many thoughts went through my mind at the same time. I was terrified for him. I was like, wow, he's never gonna tell me he loves me. He's not gonna have friends. Like these are all the things that went through my mind.
Oh, we're gonna cry.
I know.
All right.
The kids are gonna make fun of him. He's gonna have to be in special classes. When I tell you that a whole flood of things just came to me, I was terrified. Thank God for John because John was like, okay, babe, he's healthy and he's alive. This diagnosis does not mean the end of anything.
It's not gonna define him.
It's not gonna define him. Like, and that's something that John has really. I have to really thank him for that because he's like, we're not gonna limit him because he's autistic. Autism is a part of him, but that's not what he's not autism. He is Jayce.
With autism.
He is Jayce with a diagnosis.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And it took John like really like he really grounded me in that moment. I cried the whole way home from Boston.
Here we are crying, guys.
Yeah.
Here we are. All right.
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah.
But there's one thing about me, like I don't play about my kids. So I was literally on the car ride home emailing ABA centers to get him into ABA because I heard there was a long waiting list. Thankfully, God was on my side. I think it took a month and he was getting ABA services. He was still getting until he turned 3 early intervention because they had somebody for speech and somebody for occupational therapy that came. So he was getting those 3 services. Can you imagine, babe? I was working full time from home, and it was like 12 hours a week of ABA, and then an hour a week each of the
OT and speech.
So they're in my house while I'm on the phone trying to work because I was in a call center working. It was a lot. It was a lot. And people were like, well, you're home. Yeah, but I wasn't able to focus on Jayce and I wasn't able to focus on work either. Well, something fell out.
Yeah, Jayce is definitely agreeing with us on the other side.
He's on the other side of the door slamming all his food. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I guess my follow-up question for that is like, how did you see that help him in his development?
Oh my God, tremendously.
There's Jonas. You're fine.
Okay, he's fine. The first thing was with his language. Like he wasn't verbal, but he was able to like they taught him how to point when he wanted something, which was huge. And a huge part of his autism is a spectrum. So some kids, different kids are different people. Because there's also adults with autism.
Well, kids with autism grow into adult.
I know, but I feel like every time I used to think before I knew what I know now, I used to just think of autism like, oh, like
for children,
they outgrow it, type of thing. You know what I mean? But anyway, people with autism, there's a spectrum of things that they can struggle with, and a big one is communication. Yeah. Not just speech, but communication in general. Even some of the people who can speak have an issue trying to find the right words or things like that. So for him, being able to communicate was huge because he would get frustrated because he would want something. Like, he's still super smart. He knows he wants soda. I mean, what am I saying? My kids never drank soda. He knows he wants juice. Back then, he used to drink apple juice. But he can't tell me, Mommy, I want apple juice. So what does he do? He doesn't know how to point. He can't jump over the gate and get himself. He doesn't have the strength to open my refrigerator. So he sits there and screams. And then he's frustrated and I'm frustrated.
And we're all frustrated.
So when they came and asked me, like, what do you want to work on first? I'm like, communication. Whatever that may look like for him. So they worked on PECs, the picture exchange. They worked on pointing. Babe, when I tell you, when this child learned how to point at things, I was like, oh, thank you.
I know.
Because he could point to the fridge. He could point to the water. He can point to the 3 things that he ate, to his toy. That and the eye contact. Is he still, I would say his eye contact is like 90% now, but
when he wants to, because he's once again smart and lazy. Sometimes he's just like, nah, I don't want it that bad.
Like yeah.
Smart kid.
He is. Yeah, ABA helped tremendously. I would say with the OT, I never felt like he needed it until now.
It's because the things that he's going to need, the motor skills for now is like school-wise, like pencil and cutting and coloring and putting on his jacket, zipping up his jacket, tying his shoe, buttoning things, like those fine motor skills. That's OT is what, that's why.
And maybe back then I didn't realize that playing with all those toys, they were working on those skills. Yeah. So I didn't see any value to it. I was like, okay, this lady's just here for an hour playing with my kid on the floor. Like, what the heck?
That's the problem with not knowing.
Like, bete so I can cook. Yeah. But I get it now. Yeah.
Like, putty is huge, like for muscles in the fingers. So sometimes a lot of OT professionals, when they start to work with the kid, they give them putty to warm up the muscles so that then they can have them do finer motor things like zip up things or learn how to button things or learn how to tie a shoe or pick up tiny little things.
You know what Jayce used to do a lot? Like a fatter type of shoestring, putting a bead on a shoestring.
Yeah, stringing beads. It's just like those little, because it takes so much concentration. Like, people don't understand that when you do OT, when kids do OT, a lot of kids on the spectrum do OT because also not only does it help with the fine motor skills, but the kid has to concentrate to do these fine motor skills in order. So it helps with their focus and their attention of like, okay, I need to really concentrate to get this tiny little bead on top of this, inside this shoelace, but I think OT is great, even for kids that are not on the spectrum.
Now I do. I got this thing recently from his occupational therapist that he goes to now on how to help him regulate for before bed. Because as I've mentioned here before, bedtime has been like a struggle for us.
All his life. Yeah.
I'm going to share it on the page because it's really helpful. I feel like not only for people on the spectrum, but for all kids.
It's because some kids have their sensory is overloaded, overwhelmed. Some kids don't know how to regulate that. Once again, a lot of these things have nothing to do with children on the spectrum. The problem is that children on the spectrum have a harder time controlling these things. Like finding that balance. It's more overwhelming. Right. But all kids, I mean, I'm an adult and I get sensory overload easily.
Same.
Noise.
With the noise, especially.
I can't. If I'm trying to think and people are talking and I hear music and I hear yelling, forget about it. I'm going to get so frustrated that I literally want to cry.
I have adult tantrums where
me too.
Jonas is crying. The girls have the TV at like 97.
It's really like 40.
Yeah. John is watching a video and I'm like, okay, somebody like shut something off.
Yeah.
Like I will
it's
scream.
over. Yeah.
Like,
it's over.
Like,
and that's us as adults. Imagine a child.
Imagine a child who has issues processing their senses deeply.
So it's huge.
It's a lot.
So I'm glad. that you got him that help, because I think a lot of parents. I mean, I took Cairo to early intervention, and he did PT and OT, and it was great. It was like the best thing because he was ready for school
I feel
when it
like
was time.
There's a Cairo before
Mhm.
that therapy
You
and after.
you remember
100%. He
like
used
his
to have
tantrums,
yeah.
horrible, and it was because like she told me, he's using all the wrong muscles, and he's so over so much sensory overload that he gets so frustrated because he's tired but can't do the
He
thing
can't figure out why or how
exactly.
to wind
So
down.
that helped me a lot, and I remember that the last call I got was us on our way to Las Vegas when he was done with
Oh yeah?
yeah, we were on the plane when she called me. She's like, "I'm going into maternity leave, and I wanted to tell you that he's done. We doesn't. I'm not gonna recommend him for anymore because he's
He's
that's
good
it.
to
He's
go.
ready."
No, but that's how you know how helpful. He's not even on the spectrum.
Yeah, but that's
and
what I'm
I
saying.
can think of
Mhm.
like Cairo before therapy and Cairo after.
Cairo, when
Two
he used to
different
wake
people.
up from naps, you remember
Screaming for no reason.
when before he took naps, screaming.
Mhm.
I'm like, dude, go to
And,
sleep.
guys, we're not talking about like just screaming for like 5 seconds.
No, it was like an hour
Of prolonged like
crying.
screaming.
But I told this doctor, I'm like, help.
Mhm.
And
Help
honestly,
me.
it was the best thing. So I'm glad that you did that. Now, this is a little a question, and I don't know how. I want you to really take time to process this question
Okay.
because now you're going to be a mother of 5,
Oh God.
right? So how do you manage parenting for all your kids and still providing additional support to Jayce?
Ooh. That's hard to answer because I don't think I have the balance quite yet.
Okay.
I think that I balance. There are days when my oldest needs me more, and on those days, she gets more of me. There are days when Jayce needs me more. On those days, he gets more of me. I don't have a balance. I am one person, and I think the moment I gave myself a little bit of slack and like, okay, how are there's no way for me to divide my attention evenly among 4 children,
5.
almost 5. Um, so I guess I have to just use my best judgment. I give all of them pieces of me throughout the day. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, half an hour here, cuddling there, kisses over there. But of course, during that time, during our when they come home from school until bedtime and the morning time too. Like for me and Joni, our time is the morning. All the kids are in school, and me and Jonas have an hour where he and I sit on the bistro and have breakfast together every morning. Okay. And I know that when Jayce gets home, we have an hour where it's just him and I, because Jonas is not home yet, and the girls are at the Y, or Leah's home taking a nap. And when I'm making dinner, that's when I have time for the girls. They tell me all their tea.
So that sounds like you have a balance.
I guess. Does it?
Yeah. It sounds like you're being intentional about like, okay, this is the time that I have for this child, and I'm gonna maximize my time with this child so that he doesn't feel like I am not giving him special attention, or just me, just for him or her.
I think the reason I struggle to admit that it's a balance is because I'm leaving me and John out of that. I'm not. It's not balanced until I can figure out a way to squeeze some time for me in there and squeeze some time to. I'm also not just a mom.
Yeah, I
I'm
get what you're
also
saying.
A partner.
Yeah.
Sometimes at the end of the day, like John will come home from work. He comes home from work pretty late, and he's telling me about his day at work, and I'm like zoning out, and I'm nodding, but I'm like physically I'm there, and mentally I'm like so tired that I'm like, just shut up so I can go. Like, as messed up as that sounds,
I get it.
I want to balance it more so that I can squeeze some time for me, some time for him, some time for us. So that's my very long answer.
I mean, I just want you to give yourself grace because once again, being a mom of 4, having your own business, and still being the big honcho running the show in this house is not easy. It's not. I say this in every episode, guys, because I don't think you guys fully understand. Like sometimes I come over. Well, I'm always here, but when I come over, sometimes I sit and just watch, and I'm just like, how the frick is she doing all this? How is she not tired?
Oh, I'm tired.
I know, but me, when I'm tired, I'm like, that's it. I'm giving up. No vamos a comer, nah.
Oh no.
Or, you know,
I have those days.
you
Don't
know,
get me
but
wrong.
I feel like there's more days where you are like pushing through
Yeah.
and getting to the finish line, which is bedtime. But like, I don't think you really realize. I really don't see you understanding the way that I see you. Like how I need to record and just leave a camera, and I want you to watch it back. You like sit down maybe 2 times out of those 2 times, out of the whole day. Like if I'm here, like when we used to do videos,
Yep.
you would sit down only when we were doing the video. After that, up and down, up and down, up and down, until 1, 2 in the morning that we were done recording.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. So
Somebody always needs me.
I know
It's
that's
exhausting. I'm not gonna lie.
it is. Uh, my other question. Okay.
Mhm.
What do you think is the biggest obstacle you have overcome with Jayce? Like in this journey of like learning and growing and advocating. Like what do you think has been the biggest obstacle?
Hmm. I think beating myself, the biggest obstacle and the biggest change, the thing that has made the biggest change has been me changing my mindset.
Okay.
I think. I mentioned here before that I joined like this group of other autism moms. Um, it taught me a lot of things. I view autism differently now. I I used to just sacrifice myself all the time. But when I learned, like, okay, the way I'm feeling and my nervous system affects my kids, and it especially affects my
Jayce.
Jace, because neurodivergent children are more sensitive to that energy that I'm putting out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so changing my mindset to, okay, you need to try to take care of your well-being, your mental health first, and that's gonna help you be more calm, have more patience, and have like the mental capacity to come up with new ideas. Because let me tell you, a big part of being a autism parent is being creative. um
For sure.
I've had to get creative with like birthday parties, with like we want to still do activities with our family, but I know that this is going to be affecting Jace.
That was gonna be another question, so we'll get into that in a minute.
Okay. Being in the right mental space is just so crucial. And I never thought about that before. I was just like, okay, my kids need me, and I was just a chicken without a head running around. So
Yeah. Not pretty.
not cute at all. My mindset is the number one obstacle that I had overcome, and that has helped. I think has helped my family.
Okay.
I think.
I'm gonna put in my 2 cents. I think also like being on the outside a little bit, but still being on the inside because hello, let's be honest. But just watching you guys, I think another obstacle is having people understand, and that's where my other question is gonna come in. Having people understand why you choose, and maybe it's not an obstacle, but maybe for other people. Like I'm trying to like phrase this question because I think that part of being a mom of autism is being selective in the environments that you place him.
100%.
So I think, like you mentioned, birthday parties.
Yeah.
Like when you do his birthday parties, it's not birthday parties like everybody else's birthday parties where there's music and there's like all these things that affect him and affect him negatively. So
That he hates.
I was gonna say that. So how do you handle? I guess my question is, how do you handle like keeping him involved, but like picking and choosing how he's involved or where he's involved, like his social interactions with people, with family members. Like, how do you handle that? Because I know that's an obstacle. That's why I wanted to tie that into the question.
See, and the reason it didn't come to me because I don't see that as an obstacle. I just see that as an opportunity for me to be more creative.
Yes.
So,
but other people see it as an obstacle. Is what I'm saying. People that don't understand.
Maybe.
So
yeah.
I think in the beginning it was an obstacle because you still wanted to have birthday parties
until I switched my
exactly.
mindset.
You still wanted to have birthday parties the way you do with all the other kids, and it wasn't fun for him.
No,
he hated it.
He was stressed out. He was overwhelmed because it was too many people, too much noise, too much sound, all the lights.
Yeah, he agrees right now.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like this really came into play.
2 years ago.
Let me give Jayce a chance to settle down out there.
No, we're gonna leave that in the episode so people know what we're talking about. Because that's just him trying to like.
He's trying to come in here.
Yeah,
That's why
he's upset, and he's trying to communicate that he's upset.
A big thing that we did to help, and it has really tremendously helped Jayce. If any one has heard that like diet changes can really help kids on the spectrum. For me, just the same way that there's a before and after for Cairo with therapy, there's a before and after with Jayce with his diet changes.
100%. People don't understand. People that don't even know should really look into that because man, he's a completely different child.
There's a before and after with Jayce. He's
and we know when he and we know when
he has something that he can't eat. Okay,
it's a night and day.
So when he has things that we have removed from his diet and he consumes even a little bit, you can tell immediately, and the effects last a long time. It's weeks. Weeks before he's back to like being his regular, more calm down self. So because of this, going to not only having the birthday parties, that's something that I've more recently changed. The idea that right, I was so focused on I don't want him to be excluded. He needs to be included in everything. So like, yes, I know he has autism and I know that these loud noises may bother him and all these people, but like he should have a birthday so all his cousins can come over, just like the other kids do. He should. My idea of inclusion has changed. I think that yes, there are times where I just, take him to places where his cousins are going to be and everything and just bring him with his headphones, give him his iPad, make sure that I'm paying attention to see if he needs to go like to a quiet area for a little bit.
And not sneak a donut.
And not sneak. That's stressful. Him trying to
sneak food. And Doritos, he's so fast. That guy is ninja. Yep. A ninja when it's so crazy.
He remembers. Yeah. It wasn't that long ago that he was eating Doritos. So picking and choosing when and where he's gonna be involved in that has been huge. And I forget where I was going with this. I was going one way and then
we're talking about birthdays and like that you look at it as an opportunity because now not only the diet changes but the way that you interact socially with him.
But the diet change thing was the main thing.
Yes.
I was noticing that when we were going to friends' houses, cousins' houses, even just for a visit, and they have typical kid snacks. They have Oreos, they have Doritos, they have juice boxes, things that Jayce doesn't really have because they affect him tremendously. We were going to visit a friend and then we would come home and have to deal with the consequences for 3 weeks.
And that, I'm going to, once again, put my 2 cents, even though you haven't finished answering the question, but I don't want to forget. Having Jayce in our family has, at least for me, I never want him to go to my house now and like feel like he can't have things. So I even changed, not only for Jayce, well, Jayce was the reason, but he was a starting point because I changed all of Cairo's snacks. So now that if Jayce ever goes to the house, he can have whatever I have because I'm very conscious of, okay, is this gluten-free? These chips, they're made with bad oils. Let's eliminate them. And I have. Not only because of Jayce, he was the catalyst for these things, but, he's definitely keeps us mindful about even what we're giving the other kids. Yeah. At least for me.
And you know how much I appreciate you for that? Because you don't have to do all that.
But I want to.
And I love you so much for that. For treating Jayce like your son.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was I saying, babe? Where was
we were talking about the diet changes, and that's the social interactions. That's the biggest.
Right. So I was so focused on him like being included with all the rest of the cousins that I would take him to these places, even though I knew I was gonna be stressed out because I was gonna have to be ripping Doritos and cookies out of his hands and lollipops and all these things that he doesn't usually eat.
Yeah. Cake. Oh, cake for Jayce.
Right? He loves all these sweets that he loves.
But he gets that from his mama because his mama has a sweet tooth.
Yes. She does. Until John and I literally sat down. Like he was doing so great for months during the winter months. And then the warm weather started rolling around and we started going out more. And he started having more times where he would have these foods that he wasn't supposed to. And he was struggling to sleep again. Struggling to sit still for more than 2 seconds. Stimming out of control. Like, so John and I sat down. Oh yeah, stimming. I should say what stimming is. So stimming is, and you probably have this is where your training will come in handy.
You could use it in layman's terms.
Okay. Stimming is something that people with autism do to self-regulate. It could look many ways. Jayce's right. In Jayce's thing, he does vocal stimming, which is a lot of screaming and screeching He does also like physical stimming, so he'll flap his arms, he'll run back and forth.
Which is the most common one.
The hand flapping.
The hand flapping and the running back and forth is probably the most common ways that you see kids with autism, the way that they stim.
Yeah. And it's them just trying to find like a safe space for themselves. It's them trying to
It's just trying to get that energy out.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what it is.
He sways back and forth sometimes. But when he has these foods that aren't good for his body, it increases a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
And one of the bigger things that I see is his sleep. You can see that he's tired and he cannot shut his body down. That shit is painful to watch, guys. It's painful to watch. It hurts to watch him trying to shut down his brain and he physically cannot. So yeah, the stimming, and I forgot what I was saying. Oh, John and I sat down and we made a decision. Listen, we want him to be included with all his cousins, but right now his well-being is more important. So we have to pick and choose where we take him. Sometimes if I'm gonna take the kids to a birthday, like if it's a cousin's birthday, I will send Aaliyah, Liana, and Jonas, and I'll stay home with Jayce. If I know that there's gonna be a lot going on for him, I have to outweigh like, okay, I want him to be included, but his health is right now my priority. I stop visiting other friends that I would want to spend time with because I know that the snacks in their home are not Jayce friendly. And even though I bring snacks wherever I go, I have to bring a whole little lunch bag for Jayce. Okay. However, he's not gonna want to eat his healthy chips if he sees Doritos and Cheetos and Lay's. And then I'm like taking it away from him and he's crying because he's still a normal 6-year-old that's gonna be like, but I want my way. So that was a big turning point for us. It was an obstacle, I guess. I think making that decision was really hard for us. Because it was a balance, you know? I want him to be included. Exclusion was like one of my biggest things that went through my mind when he got diagnosed. But like his health and his well-being and the entire family's well-being has to also be a priority.
Yeah, and I feel like, honestly, if it's going to be for his betterment, what does it matter? Yeah. Sometimes, like, once again, I'm going to say that he doesn't like going to birthday parties. No. He hates other kids running around screaming, trying to take his toys. Yes. And it's just loud. And there's just always a lot going on and it's uncomfortable for him. You can tell that he doesn't like it.
He feels out of place. I
think.
Think.
And it makes me feel out of place because I know he's uncomfortable. And I hate it. Because seeing him trying to find a place where he feels safe and where it's quiet, it's not always an option. So he has to like suck it up. And that's not fair. Why put him through that? Yeah. You know? So it's an obstacle, but it's not an obstacle.
I think the obstacle is like the judgment from people who don't get it.
I think the obstacle is the way you have to split yourself up in the sense that you want to make sure that the other kids are included. Right. That's where the obstacle is. It's not I don't care about any other people's judgment because people that don't really fully understand, that's not my concern. You can't control that. Yes. I think the obstacle is finding that balance where you have to make sure that the other kids are included, but that you keep him safe and, calm. Yeah.
We've had to take turns. Sometimes I'll go with the kids to X, Y, and Z to an amusement park or whatever, and I'll say, John, you stay home with Jayce because he's just gonna be so uncomfortable. And there's times when we all go together, and I'm like, okay, Jayce, use your headphones. Like, sometimes we have to leave early if it's too much for him. But that balance
is the obstacle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I think this is going to be one of my final questions. Okay. I have two more. Well, this one and another one. Okay. So now that we talked about, this is a lot of emotional stuff. Like we wanted to talk about like how this affects the parents and the rest of the family, because it does affect 100%. Everybody. But like, what advice would you give to parents who have recently became part of the Autism Parent Club because it's a club, it's a community, and like, so what advice would you give them?
The number one advice is no one knows what's best for your baby like you do. There's so much information out here. Like when I first started doing research, CBD oils and like I've mentioned the diet changes and like different types of therapies and all this thing. Do all the research. You can talk to other parents in the community. What works for one child may not work for yours. And only you're going to know that.
To understand.
you understand your child more than anybody else. Okay. So my advice would be number one, listen to your gut. Number two, surround yourself with people who get it. Because it was so lonely until I met like that group. Even though Cynthia is the most supportive person in the world, she is viewing the situation as Jayce's aunt, right? As much as she loves Jayce and as much as she's involved and we're always with each other, she still gets to go to bed at 9:30 in a quiet home while I'm here at 11, stressed out, trying to see how I can get Jayce to calm down. So you need to surround yourself with people who get it, even if it's just to share funny memes. Like I have one person that her son goes to the same school as Jayce, and we have seen each other once in the last 3 years. Once that we decided to go to the park with the kids together. After that, it's been sharing funny memes that only people in our position would understand. Okay, and even that, even just somebody to share autism memes with, like, it's a huge help. You just don't feel alone. There's parts of this journey that I never would have understood. I never would have even thought were an issue until I was in it. Having people who get it is so huge, I think. And I also want to say we were in Cocoa Keys for Jayce's birthday. And there was a dad there with his son, maybe a year or two older than Jayce. And he was, seeing us interact with Jayce. Jayce is like in the water and we're stressed out because he doesn't really know personal boundaries with other children. He'll get like really close and like try to play with them. Sometimes they don't want it, and he'll go up near the water slides, but like just push other kids down because he's afraid to go down. So like John and I are like hyper vigilant and like, a little on edge, right, with Jayce. And this other dad comes up to us and is like, "Is your son on the spectrum?" And we're like, "Yeah." He goes, "My son is 2," points him out. And he just said something that like I still think about. He said, "Honestly, I'm gonna tell you guys something. When my son first got diagnosed, I was so mad and I was thinking, why me?" And he said that he realized that God gave him his son with this diagnosis because him and his partner were equipped to handle this child. Like God gave us this child because we're great parents and we need him and he needs us. Like the way he said that and the smile on his face made me be like, wow, John and I were given a gift like Jayce because we can, number one, we can handle it. We have the love and we have the patience and we have all of the resources that we need to give Jayce what he needs, what he requires. Like it's not every parent that has
That's
to
beautiful.
deal with all the things that come with autism, which is a fact. And all the extra love that we get. Jayce, I love all my kids, obviously. I think that the bond that Jayce and I have is really unique. Because he never, like the first time he told me he loved me was not that long ago. And when I tell you I lost it,
I remember this.
I freaking lost it. Okay? Yeah. He said, "I yeah you." Oh my God. I'm getting teary eyed now. I honestly, all this, have faith and think of the most positive and all that. I never thought he was going to say that. I just never thought he was going to be able to express that to me. And he likes his own space, but he'll randomly come up to me and give me kisses. He gives me kisses on the forehead and the chin and each cheek and then my nose. It's the cutest thing ever. And he just has a special, I don't even know how to describe it. A je ne sais quoi, I don't even know. The way that he loves is so special and so beautiful.
So pure.
It's pure. That's one thing about people on the spectrum. They don't
lie.
They don't know how to fake things like that.
They don't know how to lie. Here I am crying again.
They can't fake that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is.
And I was one of those parents that was like, why my son?
Yeah.
This stranger who we've never seen before and probably never will again really opened my eyes to the blessing. And I feel like we were chosen for Jayce and he was chosen for us. So just one little, I don't know why I added that in, but
no, I think it's no. I think it's important to express that to parents because I think, especially if you're new to this community, there's so many things that you're scared of that you don't understand. like Beverly said, I'm going to reiterate, you need to surround yourself with a village, with people that are going to support you, understand, and respect the things that you choose for your child, because that's
Right.
huge. A lot of people don't understand, like, why are you doing that? You don't have to understand it, but you need to respect it,
Right.
because I'm doing what's best for my child.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think that it's important to, another big one to me, and not only because I do this as a line in, for work, but I tell Beverly this all the time, being consistent.
Yeah.
You need, things are, kids, especially on the spectrum, don't just pick things up. It takes consistency, just like
And
everything else,
time. Yeah.
that you do it at the same time, all the time, whatever that is, that you don't give up because you don't see results. Because usually what happens is, I told you this the other day,
Yeah.
it's just that
What is it
kids
called?
resist. It's called the extension burst. Extension. My
Extinction?
English,
Extinction, like
like
extinct.
to extinct. Yeah,
Okay.
because what happens is, a lot of kids are resisting whatever the new behavior is trying to be. They're just trying to resist, trying to like fight you off.
So let's say potty training, for
Yes,
example.
it gets worse before it gets better.
Okay.
So they're like pooping on the court. They know how to poop on the toilet,
Yeah.
but they're just making it difficult because they don't want to give up pooping on the floor. But they get it, and you have to continue to be as patient and loving until they're like, crap, she's not gonna give this up. Let me go poop on the toilet so she can leave me alone. But that's with everything, and I think a lot of parents are like, "Eso no está funcionando. That's not working. That never worked for me. How long did you try it? 2 weeks. That's not enough time.
Yeah.
You need to stick it out,
Mhm.
and it gets worse before it gets better.
Mhm.
So I think that's huge. That has to, no matter what you choose, no matter what behavior you're trying to change, eating,
Yeah.
all of it takes time.
Guys, Jayce eats apples.
There was a time, hold on, let me just roll that back.
Yeah.
When Beverly started this diet, she would call me literally on the verge of tears. She's like, I'm going to give it up. I can't. He's not eating. He's so skinny. And he did lose.
He got so skinny.
He lost so much weight. And I used to tell you, I'm like, babe, is he drinking something?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah. Then you went to your doctor. Your doctor's like, is he drinking?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. He's not going to die. As long as he's drinking, even if he's not eating,
Which he was eating. My brain made it more dramatic.
He wasn't eating a
than it
lot,
was.
but he stopped eating a lot of stuff. Like, and he
Well,
was on strike. He was like, I'm
he
not
was on
eating this
strike.
crap that you're giving me. Like,
He was eating like the snacks, but
yeah,
not the meat.
not the food. And now he eats rice and beans, guys. Guys, that's like his go-to. Rice and beans.
Fun fact: he doesn't know, but he's eating salmon, meat, veggies. I just blend it all in the beans, and he doesn't know. But
He eats it,
he eats
all
it,
of it.
and he's fat now, quote unquote fat.
Well, compared to how he used to be, he's still skinny.
Yeah.
That's just his genes.
Yeah.
But like, if you wouldn't have stuck with that, we wouldn't be where we are now with Jayce.
Babe, if you
where he
would have
can
told
handle
me,
so much.
if you would have told me a year and a half ago that Jayce's favorite snack was gonna be apples,
Apples.
I would have told you that you were
You're a
insane.
liar.
I would have checked you into the
Yeah,
hospital.
yeah.
Okay.
I would have checked myself. I would have checked myself in.
Like, you guys don't understand how
That's
huge. it is.
huge. Yeah. Water,
Yeah.
huge.
Oh my god, something I want to mention. Only autism parents and people close to children with autism, and I have to say children because this is really for the little ones, will understand the milestones that nobody else celebrates but we do.
Yeah.
Okay? Things like the first time they answer to their names, when the first time they hold eye contact, the first time Jay said mama. Like, he was way older. What else do we celebrate here? When he started to independently get his own water when he was thirsty.
Even playing for
Yeah.
him was not functional.
No.
And the fact that he plays functionally with toys that are meant to play with cars the way that you're meant to play with cars,
Yeah.
sand without eating it, without throwing it everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, playing functionally is
Yeah.
huge for kids on the spectrum, And I need to mention, people need to understand that it's truly a spectrum. Like, there are so many different people. Like, autism looks so different.
It looks completely
Like, in my
different.
job, I have kids that are completely independent, that their issues are social. So they clearly don't pick up on social cues. And then I have other ones that are super social, but like struggle with everything else.
Yeah.
Struggle with managing behavior. Their impulsivity. Struggle with, some of them struggle with eating and texture and sensory and all these things, and they're also different.
Yeah.
I love them so much. And I had a dream about them the other day. And it's funny because she confirmed it. You know the dream I had with one of my kids that I said in the dream they're graduating, so I'm losing this caseload that I've had for a couple years. So they're moving on to middle school. But in a dream, she said she looked at me in the dream and she's like, "We did good."
Oh yeah, you told me that.
You know that she said those exact words,
Oh my goodness.
and I literally almost lost it. It was like confirmation from God saying like, "You've done your job."
Oh.
And that, let me tell you, I had to leave. She's like, "Miss A, you're amazing. You're the best."
Oh.
And I was just like, huh? All right, I'll see you outside for recess. And
She's crying now, guys.
No, because honestly, they're so special in
Yeah.
so many different ways. And only when you're around kids like that is that you realize, like, truly if you're a good person or a bad person, because they don't know how to lie.
No.
If they love you and they feel safe with you,
Yeah.
you know you're doing your job. And to know that all these kids, the fact that they're graduating and I'm gonna lose them, you know, but I'm proud of them. I'm proud of the progress that they've done. And I feel the same way with Jayce. Like when I see him doing things that we used to talk about, and I'm just like seeing him do them, it's just, there's nothing more gratifying and just more beautiful. And, you know, it makes me so thankful to God that he's able to reach these milestones. And I'm not, I guess my last question before we get into it is like, what is your biggest hopes for Jayce? Like, this diagnosis is not gonna define him.
No.
It's not gonna hold him back. What is your biggest like hope and goals and just aspirations for him?
My biggest hope is that we instill in him the same belief that John and I have had since day one. Maybe day 6 for me of the diagnosis.
Right.
Day 1 for John. He had to give me a little bit of convincing. This diagnosis doesn't define who you are. You can still do whatever you want to do, even though the path to it may look a little different. Do you want to be a chef? You can be a chef. Do you want to be a doctor? Go for it.
Have you seen The Good Doctor? He's an amazing doctor.
Do you want to be a baseball player, which is John's hope? Even though Jayce doesn't like sports, babe. So
sorry,
I don't know, babe. I don't know about that, but we got.
I can see him being a mechanic or something.
He likes to build
cars.
things.
Yeah.
He likes to figure out how things work. So I always say he's gonna be an engineer. But whatever he wants to do, I hope that we instill in him that same confidence and that same belief that yes, I may have to learn a little differently, but I can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe the timeline won't look the same as somebody that's not on the spectrum, but I'll still do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it. My biggest hope is that mindset it lives on in him, because me and John are not going to be here forever. And that's scary to think for all the kids, but I think especially for Jayce, because he needs so much support from us. It's scary to think that he's going to be out there on his own and have to know, like, remind himself, like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Autism or not, I can do this. So that's my biggest thing for him.
That was my last question.
Okay.
I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted to add.
Yeah, if there's any parent that listens to this that has like a neurodivergent child like we do, if you have any questions, if you want to chat, if you need a friend, like message me. I'm here. I'm not in any means like an expert in anything, but I'm an expert in Jayce, and I can tell you the things that have worked for him. And you know, it's up to you from then if you want to do your own research and try it with your child. But
you could also hit me up too.
Yeah.
I've been in this field for a long time. And I have such amazing, like the amount of training that I get, the amount of...
It helps me so much, your training.
I mean, I'm sometimes blown away with the things that I'm just like, whoa. You know, I have such an amazing support system. I work in a great place meant for children. Like people move all over the country to
this town,
to Lexington. That's just, if you're looking into it, I mean... I used to tell Beverly all the time, I'm like, I wish we could move closer because Jayce in this program would be just so amazing. Yeah. Because, I mean, we are worked to the bone, but we are trained, I think, to the highest standards. And we have a lot of support and we learn so much. Like, there's never not a time that we're not learning. They're making sure that we're staying on top of trends and we're staying on top of whatever we need to support our kids. Yeah. And so I have... not to toot my own horn, but I have a lot of knowledge. and I am always willing to be a listening ear. So you could also hit me up. But
Hit us up, either
Yeah.
one or both of us.
yeah, we can make a group chat. Who cares?
Yeah.
Whatever you need.
So we're gonna put our individual Instagram handles in the description. And as always, you can hit us up on the Tipsy and Truthful page. Both of us have access to that too. Um I think there's one thing that I didn't talk about that I just want to say real quick. Is how all of this has affected my other children, especially my oldest ones. How it will affect Jonas and this new baby coming.
I didn't even think of that question.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel bad because I know that it's a lot on them. But like Aaliyah and Liana have had to learn extra patience. You know, not only do they have a 6-year-old brother who's probably already annoying, a neurotypical one for a 13, 12-year-old girl, but they have to understand, like, okay, they don't react as they typically would with Jayce because they understand, like, he has certain limitations with his communication, and there are certain sounds that are bothering him, so maybe I have to turn down my TV. I thank God that I have like such kind little girls, and
Teenage girls.
and because of what they know about autism for Jayce, they tell me when they see a child struggling in their school and their classes, and they go the extra mile to be their friend, to be kind, to say hi, to not let that little child, I'm getting emotional again, feel excluded. And that makes me so proud.
You know what? Let's throw that in there. I'm proud of
Cairo.
all of us because I think that Jayce has helped our kids continue to develop that empathy that we strive to enforce on our kids. Because Cairo, same way. And Cairo with Jayce super overprotective. And let me tell you, it wasn't like that in the beginning because
They
Jayce
were always like that.
Jayce used to drive him nuts, and like bite him when he was really little because he really didn't know how to communicate.
Yeah.
But now Cairo was like, oh, but like, no, wait, like super like overprotective with him. Like when we went to the water park, he was just like, I'm trying to help him go down, but he won't go down. What do you want me to do? Like, I'm proud of our kids because I know that even when Jayce is not there, they're able to, like you said, see when other kids are having a hard time and invite them to their table and not let that child not have someone to talk to or play with or feel safe to. And I think that's a pat on the back to our parenting. And we need to our own horn because a lot of kids are not taught that or don't have the opportunity to learn that. And I think our kids have had the opportunity.
That's the thing. Honestly,
the exposure.
I don't know if we would have had that much focus on including other like different children if we didn't have to learn firsthand about it. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't learn things until we're in a situation that makes us learn things.
That's true. But hopefully they're trendsetters.
Yes.
In their schools individually, like when they see someone having a hard time, that they're able to step up
and stick up for them if needed.
And help them and support them because they do it every day. So they have the tools, they have the skills, and they have the patience. Most importantly, the love. Which is most important to me.
So proud of my kids. Okay.
Well, on that note,
thank you for joining us. Thank you, Cynthia, for the questions. We got a little emotional. Any other questions, again, let us know. And
on that note, thank you for not getting tipsy with us.
But still keeping it truthful.
Bye.
Bye.